Let's get into analysis on the earnings and the charts. Let's get to Chris Verrone, head of technical analysis at Strategas. So, Chris, what are you looking at?
Hey, Melissa. Well, certainly a good response after hours. The stock is back above that 160 level. That is important for us. But I think the way the stock responds here just tells you how much damage had been done, how low the bar was going into these numbers. What we're showing you here are the declines in Apple over the last 4 or 5 years. We were already down 40% into that number. We were down 33 in 15-16 and down about 40 in 2013. So these have proved to be bottoms in the past. I think that 150 level that we held a few weeks ago is really key. It's right on the trend line. We think we bounce off 150, getting up through 160, important. And when you look at the sentiment around the stock, the fewest number of buy ratings from the sell side right now at any point over the last decade. So sentiment is washed out. The stock is responding well. We think this was a good washout. We're buyers of the stock right here. And it's not the only big name today. We had AMD that reported as well. Very solid response, up about 8% after hours. It's another name where a lot of the damage was already done. This is a 50% decline in AMD over the last 6 months. We held, very importantly, the $16 level that it broke out from early last year. We're now back above that 20 range. We think this is a stock on its way back to 25, perhaps even 30. Apple, AMD, the damage has been done. We think we're past that. We're buyers of both stocks.
All right, so does that imply, Chris, I mean, specifically for Apple, that the stock is not range bound? And what level does it need to reach in order for you to be confident that it's actually broken out of where it is?
Well, I think we can look to those lows from a few weeks ago near 150 as a stop for any long. I think the big message here is when you look at the stock, you took out a lot of optimism after the last 2 or 3 years. Down 40% is a big move down. It priced in a lot of bad outcomes. Holding 150 is key. Getting it back above 160, which we've done today, is important. We think you're back on your way to maybe 180, 190 over the next 6 months.
All right. Chris, thanks. We'll get back to you in just a bit. Let's trade some of these names. And AMD is one that we haven't talked to yet. But, of course, a lot of concern after NVIDIA's warning yesterday before the open. And we had AMD concerns as well because they overlap in a lot of markets.
Overlap in a lot of markets. But AMD is in other markets obviously doing better than Intel. What we've said, I think, pretty consistently is don't confuse Intel's sort of some of the malaise with Intel to be AMD's as well. Now, I understand why AMD got sold off with the rest of them. They get caught up in that maelstrom word that I've used before. I'll only use it once in the show. With that said, I think this quarter for AMD proves they're sort of separating themselves like other names, for example, Lam Research and Xilinx.
Yeah, look, on AMD, this is a stock, though, that overshot to the upside. I mean, the stock went from 10 to 33 on a valuation that was very difficult to explain. There's a lot of short covering in the name. The semis, as we've talked about, are still a wide group in terms of what at least the valuations are within that group and haven't really necessarily righted the ship. If we've talked about the two names here, there's no question to me Apple has significantly more upside. But, you know, the range-bound nature of where markets are right now, I think Apple, if anything, is the one stock that could probably
Why is there no question in your mind
that
Apple has significantly more upside than AMD?
Sorry?
Why in your mind is there no question that Apple's a better buy over AMD?
Because, first of all, I think AMD has had more of a snapback rally year to date. AMD's up about 10% year to date. Apple's absolutely flat. It's underperformed the S&P by about 600 basis points. First of all, we needed these numbers out of Apple today. Again, Chris pointed out how the street has been offsides on this. I pointed out how I think the expectations were very, very low. And now the valuation you can really explain. By the way, Tim Cook is actually telling us that the situation in China is better than we think. I'm not so sure that we need to trade on that.
Is there a fade both stocks option here? Because I think you fade both stocks option here.
Yeah.
I do like on a technical level, AMD looks more supportive right here around using like a 200-day as a stop out there. But Apple, I think that structurally the story has changed. AMD is more of a moving target, so I don't think anyone was classifying it's a higher beta. Yeah. Definitely Apple is a longer term hold, but I think shorter term you're going to catch a lot of headwinds.
I like AMD a little bit better. Don't want to buy it up 10%, but the key word for both of these earnings report, stability. As long as there's some stability out there, I think you could start to form a bottom.